Turn on the radio for 10 minutes, and you will inevitably hear it. The unmistakable I, V, VI, IV chord progression. Critics frequently point to this repeating four-chord cycle as evidence of a great thinning in modern culture. The argument claims that we have traded complex musical composition for a comfortable, repetitive nursery rhyme built for a less intelligent audience. For centuries, the academic standard was governed by harmonic teleology. The rule was clear: music is a deliberate journey. It must navigate away from point A, build structural tension, and eventually resolve at point B. But before we dismiss the modern soundscape, we have to look closer at the mechanics of these loops. Are we actually losing our musical intelligence, or are we simply misinterpreting where that intelligence is currently being applied? To understand the accusation, you have to look at the historical architects of Western music, like Johann Sebastian Bach. Composers of his era used elaborate harmonic movement to drive the narrative of a piece forward. This sheet music reveals the sheer density required by that tradition. It is packed with varied, constantly changing notation blocks moving across the staff, ensuring the ear is always traveling to a new harmonic destination. Take that strict 19th century metric and apply it to a contemporary pop track. By classical standards, locking into a single loop for 4 straight minutes is a mathematical failure of functional harmony. If we judge the current radio top 40 exclusively by the rules of the European Conservatory, the verdict is harsh. The vocabulary has visibly shrunk, and the harmony is stagnant. That perspective relies entirely on one assumption: that complex chord changes are the only valid measure of musical sophistication. There is a different concept at work in a loop known as harmonic stasis. When you freeze the chord progression, the listener's brain stops tracking the harmonic journey. Suddenly, the ear is freed to process highly complex secondary variables. The act of composition hasn't disappeared, it relocated. It moved off the paper score and directly onto the production and mixing desk. This synthesizer control panel shows a complex array of knobs on a voltage-controlled filter, introducing a new metric: the precise manipulation of timbre. A producer can program this filter to slowly open over 16 bars, creating massive structural tension without changing a single chord. Holding the harmony perfectly still is a deliberate architectural choice. It establishes the necessary empty space to layer these intricate sonic textures. Once the harmony stops moving, the ear also tunes into a second modern metric: microrhythm, or what musicians call the pocket. Look at a digital timeline. A producer will often intentionally leave a percussion hit shifted just a few milliseconds behind the mathematical grid. That slight delay engineers a specific, distinctly human groove. This intense focus on microrhythm is largely absent from the tradition of European concert halls, where rhythm was historically treated as secondary, a vehicle designed mostly to carry the harmony. Instead, the true lineage of the four-chord loop traces back to African polyrhythms and oral traditions. In these histories, deep, repeating grooves are the absolute foundation of the art form. Pop music follows a different set of rules, leaning into a lineage of rhythm and texture where the repeating groove is the goal rather than a harmonic failure. When a pattern repeats exactly every few seconds, the human brain simply stops searching for what happens next. The predictive part of our mind settles into the rhythm, creating a psychological lull, often described as a trance-like state. This shifts our focus. Without a destination to track, we stop asking, "Where are we going?" and begin to experience how the current moment actually feels. The music of the conservatory required the literacy of the novel. It demanded you follow complex plots, navigate intricate subplots, and long, winding harmonic stories. The modern loop requires the literacy of the mantra, or the poem. It strips away the plot entirely, relying on the profound physical impact of the groove. Our musical language has changed. We have traded the long, winding stories of the past for the immediate, repetitive power of the groove. But that transition still leaves an uncomfortable counterpoint. By abandoning the vast, sprawling vocabulary of historical harmony for the immediate impact of the groove, we are undeniably sacrificing musical variety. The four-chord loop is a brilliant canvas for texture and rhythm. The question that remains is whether those textures are worth the price of the winding journeys we left behind.